Hey everyone, Julia from Sunday Sounds here. Let's take a look at our patch designed in the style of Grateful as originally performed by Elevation Worship. We play the song in its original key of A and at its original tempo of 92.5 BPM. This patch has pads, synth, bass, and arps triggered in both hands across the keyboard. Your left hand will most often play single notes in either the low octave, which stretch from here up to here, or in the high octave, which stretches from here up to here. Your right hand will play a series of synth lines and synth riffs in the upper half of the keyboard. As we increase the mod wheel, we begin to hear the pads and synths open up, more arps, and brighter sounds. For the first part of the intro, or the down intro, you'll have the mod wheel at 0. Your left hand will play single notes in the high octave, while your right hand plays a synth lead line in this area. I'll play this lead line slowly so you can hear. And here's what it'll sound like with both hands. For this first part, you'll play through the chord progression just one time. This lead line comes back several times throughout the song, so it's important to become pretty comfortable with it. For the big part of the intro, or the big intro, you'll move the mod wheel to about 2/3 of the way up. And this time your left hand will be playing single notes in the low octave, and your right hand will be playing the exact same thing in the exact same place. Here's what the entire intro will sound like with both hands. And be sure to watch how I move the mod wheel between the two sections of the intro. You will also play an abbreviated version of this intro after the first chorus, and some may call it the interlude. Basically, it's the big intro just one time through the chord progression. The outro is played similarly to the intro, but this time you'll have the mod wheel at 100 and you'll play low octave single notes. Your right hand will play the same lead line. The chord progression for the outro, though, in your left hand will be slightly different, and it matches the chords of the chorus. So just be sure to check out the demo to see all these different parts in order. For the first time you play the verse, you'll have the mod wheel about 1/3 of the way up. Your left hand will play single notes in the low octave for the entire verse. Your right hand will play a short synth riff up high in this area. The riff comes at the very end of each phrase and alternates back and forth between two patterns. Here's what those patterns sound like. And here's what it'll sound like in context. For the second time you play the verse, you'll play it pretty much the same way. The only difference is that about halfway through the verse, you'll want to switch to play the lead line from the intro in your right hand. You'll also want to start gradually moving the mod wheel to 2/3 of the way up as you move towards the next section. I'll play this first so you can see how I make these changes and move the mod wheel. For the first time you play the chorus, you'll have the mod wheel at 2/3 of the way up. Your left hand will play single notes in the low octave, and your right hand will play a new synth riff in this area. Here's what this synth riff will sound like. And this is what it'll sound like in context. The second time you play the chorus, it'll be the exact same, but you repeat it a second time. For the final chorus, you'll have the mod wheel all the way up at 100. Your left hand will still play single notes in the low octave, and your right hand will play the synth riff. You'll also play this chorus 2 times through. The instrumental and the down bridge are played pretty much the same way. So for the instrumental, you'll have the mod wheel at 0, and you'll play single notes in the high octave with your left hand. Your right hand will play another new synth riff, also in this area. This is what this instrumental will sound like. This right hand riff is pretty simple. I'll play it for you. The down bridge is played the exact same way, but it's 2 times through the chord progression. For the big bridge, you'll move the mod wheel to 1/3 of the way up, just to build up the pads and open up the filters. You'll continue playing the bridge the same way. And towards the end of this bridge, you'll want to increase the mod wheel to about 2/3, and this will open up the pads even more to allow it to become a little bit bigger as you move into the next section. The next part, some people like to call the Vamp Section. This short part is just 1 time through your bridge chord progression. Your left hand will play single notes in the high octave, and your right hand will switch to be playing the main lead from the intro. You'll want to increase the mod wheel to 100 over the course of this short section. Here's how I like to play this part. Also, be sure to check out the demo to see how I play all these parts in order and move the mod wheel between each section. Now, just to review the different mod wheel positions, you'll start the song with the mod wheel at 0 for the down intro, the instrumental, and the down bridge. At about 1/3 of the way up, you'll have your verses and your big bridge. At 2/3 of the way up, you'll have your big intro, your choruses, your interlude, and the vamp section. And then at 100, You'll have your final chorus and that outro at the very end. Now, before I let you go, I wanted to let you know that there's a Facebook group called Sunday Sounds Insiders, where you can find sound design tips, giveaways, rig photos, last-minute troubleshooting help, and a community of like-minded worship leaders and musicians. It would be awesome to see you in there. Until then, I'm Julia with Sunday Sounds. See you next time.